Hey, it's Dan, and in this video we'll adjust and inspect the chain on this F750GS. Even though this example is for an F750, exactly the same steps can be followed for any other chain-driven motorcycle. We'll start by cleaning the chain, we'll adjust the tension, and then finally inspect it to make sure that everything is within spec. So we'll start by cleaning the chain. I like to keep it simple and just use paper towels or a rag and some kerosene. The orange gloves that I use in this video are actually really good quality, so if you're interested in getting some, check out the link in the video description below. To get started, you'll want to put the bike into neutral and raise the rear wheel off the ground. You want to turn the wheel slowly as you clean each section of the chain, and be careful not to pinch your hands. Once the chain and back sprocket are clean, we'll go ahead and adjust the tension. The chain tension should be checked with the weight of the bike on the kickstand and at the tightest part of the chain. So we'll want to spin the wheel around until you find the tightest spot on the bottom of the chain. Once you find the tightest spot, go ahead and lower the bike onto the kickstand. And next up, we'll use a ruler to measure the chain tension. Now, the first few times you do this, it'll be easiest to use a ruler with a millimeter scale. What you're looking for is a distance somewhere between 30 and 40 millimeters between the lowest part of the chain when you pull it down and the highest part of the chain when you lift it up. Those measurements should be taken at the center of each rivet. So, in my case, the chain is loose and needs to be tightened. To do this, we'll need to loosen the rear axle just enough to allow the rear wheel to move back and forth. And then we're going to turn the adjustment screws on the right side and the left side of the swing arm to tighten up the chain. Remember, you don't need to remove the axle nut completely, just loosen it enough until the washer moves around freely. Okay, so now we're ready to adjust the tension. Notice here that when I turn the adjustment screw clockwise, the wheel moves back and the chain tightens up. When I turn it counterclockwise, the wheel moves forward and the chain loosens. Now it's really important to adjust both the right side and the left side equally so the wheel and chain are straight. You'll want to use these alignment marks as a reference and make sure that they're about an equal distance on the right side and the left side of the swing arm. As you turn the adjustment screws, measure the tension with a ruler and get the tension to be somewhere between 30 and 40 millimeters. After you've done this a few times, you should get a pretty good sense of the correct tension for your bike, and you should be able to just check it by feel, either using your finger or a screwdriver without the need to measure it. When your tension is in the correct range, you'll go ahead and torque the rear axle nut to 100 Newton meters, which is about 74 foot-pounds. If you've turned your adjustment screws to the point where 3 adjustment marker lines are fully visible, you'll want to check the chain length to make sure that it has not been overstretched. So to do this, we're going to put the bike into first gear and measure the distance between any of the 10 consecutive rivets in at least 3 random spots of the chain. So what we're looking for here is that the distance between the center of the first rivet and the 10th rivet is no more than 144 millimeters. If it's more than 144 millimeters, the chain is overstretched and should be replaced. So we'll put the bike in gear, apply pressure to the rear wheel, and turn it in the forward direction so that it will tighten the chain. Then we're going to use a ruler to measure the distance between the center points of any 10 consecutive rivets. We'll repeat this a few times and just make sure that each measurement is no more than 144 millimeters. Here you can see that my chain measures somewhere around 143 millimeters. That's within spec, so I'm good to go. And finally, we'll take a quick look at the rivets and make sure that the chain links are not binding. So the thing you want to look for here is to make sure that each rivet is horizontal and has not twisted out of alignment. Here's a screenshot that shows the bottom left rivet rotated out of alignment. The left rivet is rotated compared to the right one, meaning that the rivet is either loose and spins freely, or the chain is binding. If you see something like this, it's time to replace the chain. If you have a non-OEM chain, your rivets might be round instead of square. So in that case, you want to gently bend each link up and down and make sure that the chain moves freely and doesn't bind. Okay, now if everything looks good, the only remaining thing is to lubricate the chain. I like to put my bike on the stand, throw it into first gear, and just use a spray chain lube. Remember, if you go this route, be really careful not to stick your hands or fingers anywhere near the wheel, the chain, or the sprocket, or you might end up in the ER. After a few good sprays, you want to let the bike idle for a few moments to evenly distribute the lube throughout the chain.